The European Court of Human Rights has just come out with a decision today concerning Algerians who fought for France during the War of Independence in the 60s. Delano D'Souza joins me on set to talk a bit more about this decision. First of all, Delano, just give us some context here. Who are these people we're talking about, the Harkis?
Good to see you, Jeannie. Well, firstly, this is not a term we hear often in the Anglo-Saxon world, but France has a lot of these colloquialisms to refer to different ethnic groups. Now, the Harkis are people from Algeria who fought alongside France during the Algerian War of Independence, predominantly Muslims. Now, we must remember that this conflict, this Algerian War of Independence, was extremely bloody and remains one of the ugliest stains in the history of France. French military losses during this 8-year conflict stand at around 27,000. That's a lot. But on the Algerian side, France estimates that between 300,000 and 500,000 Algerians were killed. But Algerian estimates put that at 1.5 million people. So this is clearly a staggering figure, regardless of whether you listen to France or Algeria. So it came as no surprise that Algerians who had fought alongside France during this period faced reprisals back at home after Algeria gained independence. Many were even massacred at the hands of Algerian authorities. And the Harkis, some of them were resettled here in France, and they lived in camps with their families, often in degrading conditions. That's sometimes right up till 1975, 13 years after Algeria gained independence from France. Now, in recent years, we've had French officials like French President Emmanuel Macron who've come out to the Harki community in this country and apologized. In 2021, Macron held a ceremony at the Elysee Palace, attended by mainly Harkis and their families, and he asked for forgiveness on behalf of the French state. He said, and I quote, "I want to express our gratitude to the fighters. I'm asking for forgiveness. We will not forget France failed in its duties towards the Harkis, their wives, their children."
So what's this case at the European Court of Human Rights about, and what did the court rule?
Well, this case concerned 5 French nationals who are the descendants of Harkis. So they're born and raised here in France. And the cases were lodged with the European Court of Human Rights between 2019 and 2021. Now, what the plaintiffs claimed was that their rights under Article 6 of the European Convention of Human Rights were breached. Article 6 essentially is the right of access to a court. Now, this following a decision by the Conseil d'État here in France. Now, the Conseil d'État is the highest legal body in France. Now, it had ruled that it lacked a jurisdiction to hear compensation claims of state liability for negligence as a result of the failure for France to intervene in Algeria to protect and then repatriate Harkis. So essentially, to dumb it down, what the Conseil d'État effectively said was that it could not act on behalf of the French state to repatriate Harkis from Algeria, because this was a matter between 2 separate states, the French state and the Algerian state. So basically what the court has ruled today was that there had been no violation of Article 6 of the convention. But what the court did rule was that there had been violations of 2 articles of the European Convention of Human Rights. That's Article 3, which is the prohibition of inhuman or degrading treatment, and Article 8, which is the right to respect for private life and correspondence. Now, the European Court of Human Rights essentially ruled that the camps that the Harkis and their family were forced to live in did not have respect for human dignity and infringed on individual freedoms. It also ruled that the 15,000 euro reparations awarded by domestic courts here in France did not deprive Harkis of their victim status. Basically, the European Court of Human Rights found that amount awarded for years of living in these camps meant these kids could not go to schools and get an education, was not sufficient to make up a violation. The court found that the 15,000 euro sum was modest in comparison to what was generally awarded in cases concerning inhuman detention here in France. So it remains to be seen if these 5 plaintiffs take their case back to domestic courts here in France and ask for more money.
Delano, thank you so much for breaking that all down for us. France 24's Delano D'Souza.